Hello. How we all doing? My name's Keith. In case you're new, you're like, who's this guy? I'm Keith. I'm your meditation teacher here on this channel. This channel is called Meditation Breaks. And on it, we learn how to meditate. And more specifically, we learn the different ways that we can incorporate meditation into our kind of modern busy life. And also the different types of things that qualify as meditation, because sometimes we think it's pretty restrictive, but it's actually a bit more flexible than we think. So if you're brand new, you may notice there is a topic for today, and you're probably like, hey, I would like to know the basics. Great news. Every class, I always start with a little intro to what meditation is, how it works, why I do this thing, and then we will do a short breathing meditation together, probably 5 minutes or so, just to kind of get everyone, regardless of your experience level, everyone kind of up to speed with, okay, this is how meditation kind of works, right? So that is how we'll start, and then we'll go into our topic for today. And our topic for today is kind of taking some of the things that we were talking about last week with mindfulness, and looking at how it can make us notice some of the kind thoughts that are already happening in our mind. But if you're like, I wasn't here for last class, don't worry, doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So last thing I'll say is, if you have any questions along the way, or you have something comes to mind or whatever, you can use the chat feature whenever you want to ask me a question. You don't have to wait for me to say, hey, does anyone have any questions? You can just use that at will, and I'll answer it as soon as I see it. If you do not want to use the chat feature, that's totally fine. Or if you think of something after the class is over, I'm going to give everyone my email towards the end of today's session, and you can email me. Exciting. Okay, so what is meditation? Instantly, right? Instantly. It doesn't even matter if you've never done it. You're like, oh yeah, right. That's our kind of generic image of meditation. A generic image, what I mean by that is, when you think of something, your mind kind of like conjures an image of it, right? It happens really fast and we don't notice it because our mind is super powerful. But the generic image, if I was like an apple, whatever like pops into your mind would be like your generic image of an apple. So our generic image of meditation is somebody sitting cross-legged on the floor with their arms like this and their eyes closed and whatnot. And this is a very traditional way to formally meditate. But it is a seating position. Like, meditation is not a seating position. And in my opinion, it doesn't require a specific seating position. Meditation, the definition of it, I think, is a little bit wider than that. So here on this channel, I like to put forth the definition that meditation is a technique that you can use to familiarize your mind with something. Hey, Janice, how you doing? And you might be like, familiarize my mind? Weird. We don't say that, you know? We don't go around saying I'm familiarizing my mind with, how to navigate to my favorite restaurant or something, But that's what our mind is doing. Our mind, all day long, all life long, is becoming familiar with things. Mentally, physically. Here, when we're talking about meditation, we're talking about mental familiarity, but we can look at physical familiarity, which is a little bit more familiar, to translate what we mean by mental familiarity. So, something you are extremely familiar with, I'm just going to say walking, all right? Barring unfortunate disability, you all are probably pretty awesome walkers at this point in your life. And by that, I don't mean you're like fast, though maybe you are, I don't know. But that it doesn't require really like concentration for you. Nobody who, like I said, barring any disabilities or whatnot, nobody's like, I'm going to put my left foot in front of my right foot and then my right foot. We don't think like that because we're so familiar with walking. Hey, Cynthia. We're so familiar with walking that it no longer requires all of that energy, concentration, effort in order for us to do it, right? Engage in that activity. But you may not remember because it was quite some time ago, but you weren't always an expert walker. In fact, when you were a little babe, just born, you couldn't even crawl, let alone walk. And then you eventually start crawling. And then you try to take your first steps and you wobble and fall. Not that graceful gait that you have now, right? And so what happens? A little bit of practice each day, right? It requires a lot of concentration, effort, but a little bit of work each day. Over time, you become really familiar with walking. The only difference in between you not being able to walk as a kid and now is familiarity. That's it. And this output of familiarity is really important for meditation. So by that, I mean the concept of the more familiar you are with something, excuse me, the more familiar you are with something, the more like second nature it becomes, the more it shows up, the easier it is to kind of engage in that activity or thought. It just kind of flows, right? So a lot of times people will get into meditation for being like trying to be more relaxed, which is great. It works well. But why? Instinctively, we kind of think meditation relaxes me. If I meditate, I am relaxed. So meditation is the producer of relaxation. But this is not true. Meditation does not relax you at all. What meditation is doing is if this is what we want to focus on in meditation, we're becoming so familiar with relaxed you, that version of you that is relaxed. It's in there. You know it is. Becoming so familiar with that version that what happens, just like walking, it starts to show up without us really concentrating as much. It starts to become our default. It starts to become second nature. Everything in your life has followed this cadence. It's kind of interesting to think about, for better or for worse. Things like anger, frustration. We don't have to try to get frustrated. It just happens, right? Because we've had a lot of practice getting annoyed. We've had more practice getting annoyed than being super patient. Everyone's different, but in general, that's probably the case because no one's ever said, hey, I got to stop and get angry for a second, but they've said, oh, I got to stop and, relax. So this concept of familiarity is everything for what we're doing here. And with regards to meditation, we're trying to normalize this concept that we can start to choose what we want to be familiar with. Right now, it seems like our mind is choosing. Worry about this. Think about this. But we can start to change that, to start to choose what we want our mind to focus on, what we want our mind to be familiar with. Cool. Okay. So how do we do the thing? Y'all probably heard breathing meditation. It's awesome. In an awesome turn of events, it's become a lot more like it's kind of everywhere right now, which is cool. Breathing meditation is a meditation where the focal point, the object of our meditation, is our breath. And while breathing meditation is awesome, and that's what we're going to do, and that's what mostly people start with because, for a lot of great reasons, one of which is your breath's always with you, so that's good. Breathing meditation is just a meditation on your breath. You can do a meditation on brushing your teeth, meditation on walking, meditation on talking, meditation on smelling, like meditation on lifting an object up and down. You can do a meditation on anything. And I think this is really important because often our generic image of meditation, sitting down, cross-legged with our arms, that's not something that we always are doing. We have other stuff to do. We have responsibilities. But there's a lot of things that we're doing in our day, in our, routines, that we can actually kind of turn into meditation if we get creative about it, right? So we're going to start with learning a little breathing meditation. And if you want to get fancy, it's called single-pointed concentration, which is exactly what it sounds like. We are going to single-pointedly concentrate on something, in this case, our breath. We're going to concentrate on it so exclusively that something interesting is going to happen. All of the bowling pins that our mind is constantly juggling all day long. Oh, worry about work. That person said something to me before that I'm still really annoyed about. Oh, what was that sound? Right? It's our mind. It's not a very glamorous job. It sounds stressful. But this is what our mind is doing. And we're going to say, mind, let's focus on our breath so exclusively that all that other stuff can just kind of fade a little bit. Byproduct of that is we kind of chill, we relax, right? It's somewhat similar to if you've ever been in the zone, or sometimes called flow state. Sounds cooler. You're working on something at work, lose track of time, right? Time is something that we're very aware of normally. And yet, when we're super focused on something, sometimes we forget about time. Time's still there. It doesn't go away, but it's as if it went away. It's as if it's faded. And so this is an example of a kind of like involuntary meditative experience. And so we're going to practice doing that voluntarily. So this boils down to 3 steps. First, we're going to actively choose to do this. And you're probably like, that seems unnecessary. I too thought this many, many years ago when I started. This is about setting an intention so that when we inevitably get distracted, which is going to happen, it doesn't mean you're doing this bad. That is, our mind just thinks. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We can get back on track. We're planting this goal in our mind, this objective, right? And so all that we're going to do for this part is say something, and I'll be guiding the meditation, so you can just listen to what I'm saying, but it'll be something like, for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to focus exclusively on my breath to the best of my ability. Just kind of putting that in our mind, right? This is what we're here for, right? Then we're going to do that, and I'll be guiding again. And whenever you notice that your attention is no longer exclusively on your breath, and I mean anything, I have an itch, there was a sound, I'm worried about work, whatever your mind drifts to. Whenever you notice that, we're going to just say, not right now, to those thoughts. Those thoughts are not bad. They are not unwanted. They're not intrusive. They're just thoughts. Just not now. Right? And then we're going to, step 3, bring our attention back to our breath. Choose to focus single-pointedly on something. Notice when you are no longer single-pointedly focused on that thing. bring your attention back to single-pointedly focusing on that thing. Cool. So let's do some breathing meditation. You might notice I am not sitting on the floor. I'm in a chair. It could be more comfy. I made a bed chair selection. What do you want? You can be wherever you want. It doesn't matter. Like, you might like sitting on the floor. Go right ahead. You might want to lay down. You know, like, I've had a long day. I'm going to lay down. Go ahead. Sit in a chair. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you're relatively comfortable. By that, I mean, you're not like, chair kind of. Because then we're going to be thinking about that when we're meditating, right? So get a nice little spot. Get comfy. You can close your eyes to help with some of the visual, our tendency for visual distraction. And we're going to do a little short breathing meditation together. Okay. Whenever you start a meditation, it can be helpful to take a moment to check in with yourself. Ask yourself, what is my mind up to right now? What does my mind feel like? Maybe you're a little tired. You've had a long day. Maybe you're feeling energetic or excited. Happy, sad, whatever it is perfectly fine. We are not trying to change anything here. We are just noticing. Practicing being an observer of our own mind. This is an exercise in mindfulness. It's probably a word you've heard before. We'll be talking a lot about that today. Take a moment to check in. Having done that, we can now set an intention, make a promise to ourselves. And that intention, that promise, is to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on our own breath to the best of our ability for the next couple of minutes. Let that idea, that promise, that thought sit in your mind, become familiar with it, become friends with it. It's your only task right now. All other things can wait. Just you and your breath. And with that thought, that intention, that wish firmly planted in your mind, we can act on it. You can turn your full attention to your own breath, breathing in, breathing out, very gently and very naturally. No need to change anything about how you breathe here. You don't have to forcefully exhale. Take big, deep in breaths, however you normally breathe. That's what I want you to do. In and out. Gently, naturally. Following each moment of each in-breath and each moment of each out-breath. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice your attention has drifted a bit. It's no longer exclusively 100% focused on your breath. Maybe you're thinking about something you have to do after this class ends, something you have to do tomorrow, this weekend. Whatever it is, whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this manner, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Actually imagine yourself placing those thoughts beside you, where they are waiting patiently. And with those thoughts beside you, you can then choose to turn your full, undivided attention back to breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. Single pointedly focused on each moment of our breath. We don't normally pay attention to breathing in slices of moments. But what happens if we do? What might we notice about breathing? When you inhale, can you follow, watch the entire journey that the air makes? Visualize it leaving the atmosphere into your body. Feel it move through you into your lungs. And feel your lungs expand to make room. Feel the energy. A simple in-breath provides. How interesting. And what about when you breathe out? Can you feel your chest contract? Your shoulders fall. Can you watch as that air moves back through your body, leaving your body, where it mixes back into the atmosphere and dissipates amongst all the other air pockets? How interesting. You breathe a lot of times each day, seemingly uncountable amount. These subtleties that we were just noticing, these small interests, small joys, they're always there. Always there when you breathe, if you choose to notice them. How interesting. Breathing in, breathing out, very gently and very naturally. This process of choosing to focus single pointedly on your own breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and then being able to guide your focus back to your breath. That is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to tap into its natural, relaxed state. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, for the last couple of moments of this meditation, the only thing you want to focus on is breathing in, breathing out, gently, naturally. Okay. Whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Welcome back. Congrats, you did it. So that's breathing meditation. And, like we talked about, it's only 3 steps. It doesn't mean that it's, a breeze all the time. And if you found that your mind was jumping a lot, you had trouble focusing on your breath exclusively, welcome to the club. This is not because you are a bad meditator. If there's nothing else to take away from today, I think this is really important. The goal here is not to never get distracted. Your mind thinks. That's what it does, and it's really good at it. We just want to notice earlier on when our mind is drifting so we can bring it back to the thing that we want to focus on, or, in the larger context of using meditation in our life, choose, is this thing that's pulling my attention, is that what I want to focus on right now? That's really important because right now it's like our mind is like, no, you're worrying about this. And we're like, okay, here I go. Okay. That is breathing meditation. And we're going to move on to our little topic for today. So our topic is all about noticing what I'll call like spontaneous kindness, or like a instinct of kindness. Instinct, I think, is a pretty visceral word, and it's, I think, a good one for today. So let's kind of look at this phrase, noticing spontaneous kindness. The first one's noticing, right? And well, great news. We just had a lot of practice doing that. So mindfulness plays a really large role in our meditations, in learning about how our mind works, in being able to respond. And mindfulness, if you're not familiar, is a active awareness of your own thoughts on a kind of moment-to-moment basis for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully, right? Think about like a forest fire. Scary. Starts small, always. All of those, horrific images we see, from California and whatnot, they start small. And our mind kind of is like that, right? Frustration, whatever we're dealing with, loneliness, anxiety, those things start small. And then if they are left unnoticed or unchecked, just like fire, it spreads and it starts to become more difficult to manage. And so mindfulness is all about building up your kind of muscle memory of noticing what your mind is up to so you can catch the fires early. So that's what we talked about last week. And that's, I think, that's probably the basic definition of mindfulness in my mind. Mindfulness. When we think about that definition, very often we are focused on noticing negative mind states. Oh, I'm getting a little anxious. Good, right? Now we've noticed, now we can choose what we want to do with that. Mindfulness is also about noticing positive, kind moments, compassion, right? It's the same muscle, remember? Like, it's the same practice. It's the same thing we're trying to accomplish. Noticing when we, feel joy. That way we can do something about it. Make note of that. Thank someone, whatever. It goes both ways, So I think often when we think about mindfulness, it's kind of like, how do I say, like a preventative medicine or something like that, like we're like, oh, just want to make sure I, don't, get off course or whatever. But it's also really good for all the smiley stuff. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today, because when we think about spontaneous kindness, what we're really talking about is spontaneous thought. And to understand this, I think it's important to understand how mental actions play a role in our life. We, as humans here, put a lot of value on physical actions. Calling a friend, giving resources to someone, giving somebody a hug, right? The physical action, it has we notice its value, right? Each one of those activities, any physical action that you do, anything, walking, talking, calling, whatever, it is always before by a mental action. In order to give someone a hug, to give a loved one a hug, our mind first thinks hug. And again, our mind is super fast, and so fast that we don't really register this is happening. But it's happening, and it has to. If our mind didn't have the thought hug, we couldn't hug. We couldn't do anything. We'd probably just be like this, not doing anything. So mental actions, which are something that we don't really attribute as much value to as physical actions, are necessary, the prerequisite for the physical actions. So if you don't have the mental action, the physical action has no chance. And so when we think about that, we start to realize, what? Mental actions actually are really important, and arguably more important, because without them, the other one can't exist. Cool so far? So this is important for this topic because kindness, just like anything else, starts as a mental action. Right? Let's say you're walking down the street and you notice somebody who is asking for help monetarily, maybe. Presumably they are homeless, or you're just having a really hard time. And you think, man, that's tough. I'd like to help. These thoughts happen all the time, right? They're so quick. Our mind is so quick, and sometimes it's to our detriment. It's so quick that we may not notice it, or we may notice it and then we kind of let our mind talk ourselves out of it, right? We start to, well, I don't know what they're going to do with the money, right? And all the while, we have kind of missed this really awesome opportunity to act on spontaneous kindness that our mind has literally just laid out in front of us. And often we don't take that, and turn it into a physical action. Maybe calling a friend is a good one. Maybe we haven't spoken to a friend in a while, right? And we, sometimes we're just kind of going through our day, and it's happened to me. Like, oh, I wonder what they're up to. I haven't talked to them in a bit, right? So right there, our mind has spontaneously kind of thought about this person, our relationship with them, and sorry, I have paint on my hands. I was painting. What's the matter with his hands? This is a spontaneous thought and a kind one. To check in, to think about somebody is kind. And then what happens? Do we always act on that? Do we always then pick up the phone and call or whatnot, or email or text? No, we don't always do that. Often we'll be like, you know what, later. I'm too busy right now. Or they haven't called me in a while. Why should I call that? I don't know. Like there's a lot of things that our mind can do to talk ourselves out of acting on this spontaneity, this spontaneous like compassion thought or wish to do something nice. And this is a really important thing to notice, I think, because for most of us, being super kind, always, oh, I wonder what they're up to. Oh, I want to help them. That doesn't always come naturally to us. Because I, or in your case, you, are very prevalent in the movie of our life, right? And so we have a lot of practice worrying about ourselves. We have a lot of practice focusing on ourselves. We have a lot of practice feeling compassion for ourselves or knowing our faults or whatnot, right? This is an example of how our mind can expand our like kind of net of a compassion. Right? And it's already happening. That's the important part. This isn't something that you need to start to do. Don't be like, I have to go out and be kind. Trust me. If you practice noticing these thoughts earlier, you'll probably be surprised at how many times you have those thoughts. This is a really beautiful practice, I think. And like many things we learn here, it is something that you can practice outside of meditation. You do not need to sit down with your eyes closed and focus on, spontaneous kindness or compassion or whatnot in order to do this. In fact, arguably, it's better, or I shouldn't say better, but it kind of can connect really like strongly when we actually see it and do it out in the world. And there is no shortage of opportunity for you. Right? Something I like to do is whenever I go through like a drive-through, right? I'll say Starbucks because I go there a lot. Every time I go there, and then in my town, it's like a kind of a very seasonal town, ski town. And so there's a lot of different people that work there. I see new people all the time. And what I have started to try to do is when I go through the drive-through, just really pay attention to the person that is helping me and notice something cool about them and tell them. One person had like these awesome triangle glasses, like I've never seen. It was literally like these frames were triangles, and I was like, "Your glasses are so cool." Like, because that's the thought I had, right? I thought that naturally. I'm like, "Wow, those glasses are really cool." Like, I wonder where she got those. And normally we'll have those thoughts and then be like, I'll say anything, whatever. Just get my coffee, right? But I'm trying to encourage myself to act on those things, you know? Because I would like somebody to say something nice about it. We all would, right? Imagine if we all did. So anyway, that's just an example of how something I do in my life to practice this. You don't have to do that. Maybe you don't like going through drive-thrus. I go inside. But the idea here is the same no matter what. You are noticing it's an effort to catch when your mind is having one of these spontaneous kind thoughts and then act on it. Cool? Okay. So we're going to do a little meditation to close out our evening that is tangentially related to this. This is called I guess it's not tangentially, it is very related. This is a loving kindness meditation. Maybe you've heard of that. There's a lot of different kinds. What we're going to do here is we'll start with a little breathing meditation because it's always good to relax our mind a little bit. Our mind is always trying to jump and do a bunch of things. So we're going to be like, nope, chill. And then I'm going to kind of move us into this secondary meditation on kindness. And what this is going to be is me talking and you listening, and that's basically it. We're going to single-pointedly concentrate on this concept of expanding the kind of love and kindness that we give out into the world. Right? So it's a little more esoteric than just, focus on your breath. But it's the same thing as it's still meditation. We're just choosing to single-pointedly focus on this idea rather than our breath. Cool? You're like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Don't worry. I'll lead you through it. Okay? All right, get nice and comfy. You can change seats if you made a poor choice the first time around. Go ahead and close your eyes, and we're going to do another meditation together. What's your mind up to right now in this moment? How do you feel? We're not comparing it to before. Before is done. Only now. What's your mind up to? Is it busy? Is it still? Is it sharp or dull? Just take inventory of you in this moment. Having checked in, we can set a little promise, an intention for what we're about to do. And that intention is to focus single-pointedly on our breath to the best of our ability for the next couple of moments. That's it. All other tasks, thoughts can wait. For the next couple of moments, it's just you and your breath. Let that thought sit in your mind. And then act on it. Turn your full, undivided attention to your own breath, breathing in and out very gently, very naturally. Following each breath in and each breath out. And if you notice your mind drifting a bit, thinking about something other than just your breath, no big deal. We can just say not right now to those thoughts. Place them beside us. And then turn our full attention back to breathing. Back to following each breath in and out gently and naturally. And keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. Doesn't matter how many times you get distracted. The goal here is not to never get distracted. The goal is to notice when you are. In and out, gently, naturally. Having done a little breathing meditation, mind relaxed a little bit, we're now going to shift our focus. We're going to set a new intention, having accomplished our first one. And this new intention, this new promise that you're going to let sit in your mind for a few moments is to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on this loving kindness meditation that we're going to do together. That's it. All other things can wait. Just you, your mind, and my voice. I'd like you to bring to mind something that was or is, doesn't matter, a struggle for you. It doesn't need to be something monumental. It can be small. Just something. Something that you struggle with. And as you bring this to mind, allow yourself to feel what it's like to be struggling with that thing. Does it make you sad? Does it make you nervous? Allow yourself to notice the emotions that are tied to this thing you struggle with. And with those feelings front and center, I'd like you to zoom out a bit and notice that other people, maybe some of your close friends, family members, they too probably struggle with this or something adjacent. They too feel all those feelings. Knowing how powerful some of these feelings can be from your own personal experience, we can develop natural compassion, loving kindness for our family members and friends that may be experiencing something similar or identical. Just as we want to not suffer in that way, they want to not suffer in that way. Let's zoom out even more. Beyond friends, beyond family members, to maybe strangers in your town or neighborhood, acquaintances, people we don't have as intimate of a connection with. They too struggle. They too feel those feelings that you brought to mind. Just as you want to relieve yourself of those feelings, and just as you have built some compassion to want to relieve friends and family members of those feelings, allow yourself to go further, to develop a wish to relieve those feelings for all those acquaintances and strangers in your neighborhood, knowing that they too struggle just like you. And then finally, I'd like to zoom out, way out. Imagine the earth. Just picture it as if you're in space. Look down on the earth. Bring that image to mind. And on that earth, bring to mind everyone, all beings, animals, humans, insects. They all struggle from time to time. Just as we want to get rid of some of the pain that our struggles cause, we can start to develop a wish for everyone in the world to have a little bit of relief from what they struggle with. And for the last few moments, keep this image of the world in your mind. And every time you breathe in, imagine you're taking a little bit of everyone's in the world's struggle away from them. And every time you breathe out, you are sending love, kindness back to them. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in the struggles of all beings, and breathing out joy, sending it to them. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So we started the same as the first meditation, and then we kind of swapped to focus on something else. And this is a visualization of bringing to mind, feeling something that we struggle with, and the feelings that evokes. And the idea here is to take how potent that is for us, and then start to familiarize ourselves with the truth that other people feel that way. Other people struggle in that manner. And just as it's important for us to not feel that way, it's important for them to not feel that way. We both want the same thing, and we can kind of feel a connection, compassion, even, for this shared journey. Cool. So that's it for today. I hope you had a nice time. Hopefully it was relaxing, thought-provoking, or whatever value you got out of this. I hope there was some. If you had a good time, come on back next week. We will do another meditation. I don't know what the topic will be, but guarantee you it'll be meditation. If you want to ask me something, or so you think of a question, or you're trying something like this on your own, you're like, I don't know if I'm doing it right, you can email me. My email is keith@meditationbreaks.com. I'm going to type it in the chat right now. Keith@meditation. Oh my. breaks.com. That is my email. Email me anything that, if you wanted to ask me anything. Also, I do offer one-on-one private instruction. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you're like, you know what, loving kindness thing, cool, but I'm here to learn about anxiety, and how I can, manage my anxiety. That's something that we can focus on together, one on one. I do all these one on ones virtually. It's very laid back. So if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, email me and we can figure out a good time to meet. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to anyone who subscribed during the live stream or chooses to do so later or has done so. I appreciate all of the support, and I really love teaching, and I couldn't do that without you guys taking time out of your day to be here. So thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful week.